Hello again, wonderful wing divers. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the changes of the wing diver class and my thoughts on it overall now that I've used it for quite a bit. I've been reading some messages and seeing some comments and stuff like that about just being disappointed in the wing diver class and thinking that it's a pretty weak class now. And I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on the class and just the changes that were made and just having to relearn the class. Before in 4.1 in 2025, the main weapons go-to was the rapier thrust on any level difficulty, and then the Idun or the monster, depending on if you needed long range or more of a medium range. They made a change to the rapier thrust, which I think was a good change, a balanced change, and that is now you have to charge this weapon up, so it takes about 2 or 3 seconds to charge it up, and then you can start firing it. But they actually increased the range on it though, which is nice, but there is damage fall off, so it's kind of like a, I don't know, I think it's a perfect balance for this kind of weapon. Still very strong up close, does 33,000 damage per second up close. But it's now no longer a continually firing weapon no matter what. When you reload it, it doesn't cost much energy. You can just constantly fire it, constantly fire it, constantly fire it, never have to worry about anything. So I think that was a needed change. As far as the Idun goes, they definitely made a huge change on that, and that is the energy cost is way down. It's hardly noticeable to reload this weapon. But the damage is also way down, and I don't know. I think I don't mind the change personally, but I'm not going to find myself using this weapon as often for sure. It's more of an average weapon, certainly. It does okay damage. It does 4K damage per second, but it's more of a weapon if you need to just recharge your other weapon. If your other weapon requires a lot of energy cost, then it's good to take a magazine weapon, and this is definitely a decent one to take, just because of the reload cost is so cheap. But like I said, I don't take it as much because there's just a lot of better options now for Wingdiver. As far as the monster goes, the monster is the same as far as the damage, or at least similar to the damage in the previous game, so that's not really a disappointment. If anything, it's a little bit more damage. This one does 18,000 damage. It shoots through targets now, and it doesn't overheat you, like the other one did. So if anything, the monster's got a buff on it. But she has a lot more sniper options now too, which is a better improvement from 4.1 as well, in my opinion. So I would say the biggest buff to her though is her dash. That alone makes the Wingdiver class very strong, because in the previous games her weakness was always wasps or trying to kite around fast shooting enemies such as a king spider. Because you couldn't dash through the air, you were kind of limited to her flight speed, and you couldn't do nothing about that. But now with the dash, that alone allows her to be very fast, especially with the 100% dash speed item. It makes her extremely strong class. So once again, I don't think that that's a nerf, but actually is a buff. So far, I think I see a lot of buffs on her on this class as a whole. But let's cover the actual weapons that I think are the new meta as far as the Wingdiver class. Ever since they nerfed the Tri-Lance, which thank goodness, that was so broken. There's actually a variety of weapons you can use as a Wingdiver class instead of just using that weapon only. Like I said about the rapier, once in a while I'll take it, but I don't take it as much anymore because I think that weapon is removed from the best weapons of hers and it have been changed to the lance. The level 92 is absolutely amazing now. It has just the range on it alone makes it so valuable and shooting through targets, but it's like a good close range weapon or a good long range weapon. It's got over 260 meter range with a 40,000 damage and very low energy, which is also crazy. So I think the lance has outclassed the rapier this time around, since they shoot through enemies and since the range is so ridiculous. Of course, you want to be flying in the air when you use this thing, otherwise it'll stun you on the ground. But usually I'll just hop off the ground and then fire it, so I don't have to worry about that stun animation. But this is definitely one of the weapons I take an awful lot on Inferno. It's either that one or I'll take this one, which I think is probably, in my opinion, the new rapier. It's so dirt cheap. 23 energy. You're not going to even notice that because you refill your energy at 90 per second. So this is using well less than that. So, but this thing can one shot just about anything on Inferno. It does over 15,000 damage per shot, and you can spam this thing very fast. So I think that the new meta for her is definitely the lance over the rapier, which like I said, I don't mind the change. It's just something fresh, something new to mess around with. So I really like this new weapon. So that's definitely one of the main weapons I do take. I mean, of course, the laser did get nerfed pretty badly, but I rarely ever, I would actually say never take the laser. However, like I said in the previous video, the DLC laser is good. This one is very good. It does close to 14,000 damage a second, and it has a 340 meter range. So if you want good burst damage, this is definitely a weapon I've been using on Inferno on DLC as well, and it seems strong enough to contend. So you just can't be very mobile with it. You have to be more of like a, you know, when I fire this thing, I'm going to stay on the ground so I can constantly reload it, you know, after 25% of the magazine's down, and then fire it again after I reload it. So, but still a very good weapon. Like I said, this column is very average now. It used to be a very important column in the previous game, but this time they put it more in average. It's more of an average weapons column. However, I do want to recommend trying out the 82 Eclat. I don't know if it's called that still, but it was called that in the previous game, because this thing is actually pretty decent. The lower level ones aren't very good because of the low range, the 100 meters, but the best one has a 200 meter range. And the thing with this is, it's got a magazine now of 18, so I do like having one weapon with a magazine still once in a while. If I need to, like say I'm taking a more energy consuming weapon, like a rocket launcher or a sniper or something, then I do like having a magazine weapon, because that allows you to refill your energy a lot easier, and still fire, and then reload when you have a safe time to reload. So this weapon I would definitely suggest giving it a try. It's got pretty good damage, 5,800 damage per second, and it does keep you from overheating quite a bit, so it's an okay weapon. And then in addition to that, she has a shotgun now, which is very, very strong. So this shotgun alone, I think, with the lance and the shotgun, would make this class stronger than in the previous games, in my opinion. So this thing is an amazing stun locker, and very high damage and high range even. It's absolutely ridiculous. Very useful weapon. So once again, I think it's another buff to this class. There was nothing like this in the previous game that I can think of offhand. So I mean, this of course is a new weapon anyway, but anything as far as in the plasma machine gun column in the previous game there was nothing really too good. However, her new plasma machine guns are actually better this time around. In my opinion, it's a buff because it now has a splash damage. For example, this thing has a 17 meter splash damage. Of course, you can't be flying with this thing, but it has a huge magazine. It'll shoot forever, and if you stay on the ground and charge it up, you can do a lot of stun lock with this. It's kind of weak, unfortunately, but it is definitely a fun weapon. And like I said previously, she has so many more options for snipers now, so that alone makes it exciting class. The monster's still okay, but she now has the Gungnir, which is better, in my opinion, this time around. You can charge it up ahead of time. It only takes 2 charges now, and you can fly in and do 100,000 damage in one shot. So that alone is very strong. The LSRL is still weak, and the Thunder Sniper is still not too good. But she now has low-level snipers that are good too, like level 36. This thing does 15,000 damage for one shot, and only has a 500 energy cost. So I even find myself taking this on Inferno as well. So, and then as far as the grenade launchers, I think once again they buffed the grenade launchers. This time they cost a lot less energy, so you can fire them a lot more often. And there's a lot more usable type grenade launchers this time around, like the 4-round burst one or the single shot one. And then she even has like a level 55 monster type rocket that does 22,000 damage with only 600 energy cost. And then also definitely don't want to forget the level 15 rocket, which I use on Inferno an awful lot with no problems. It's 7,700 damage with a 27 or more higher than that, 27 meter blast. And the nice thing about this is it takes 4 seconds to charge it up, so you're not going to feel that 200 energy cost. You're going to find yourself almost breaking out even when you charge this up on Inferno. So once again, another buff in my opinion. And then now with the Mirage, she actually is the best wasp killer in the game. She couldn't really do that before in the past game very well. Now she can stun them in place, and you can even increase the speed, double the speed of the firing of the Mirage, which is crazy. And then of course the buff to the Geist, just shooting twice as fast as the previous game with lower energy cost. I find myself flying with this weapon now, which is crazy. You actually can, on Inferno, take this weapon, and the energy cost is so low you can find yourself dashing through the air and firing this thing and not being in too much of an issue with energy. So once again, another buff. So, and then finally the last column is the special grenades, which are actually good now. I mean, the homing grenade alone is amazing for a wasp, or anything that you just want to set out and just leave, which is pretty nice. And then I'll cover this later in the DLC weapon, but her Heaven's Gate does over 500,000 damage, so her grenades are actually pretty good. So as far as, I feel like there's a buff in every column except the laser column and except the IDUN column. But besides that, I think that she received improvements in every area. It's just you can't be using the same weapons. You can't be finding yourself using the rapier only or the IDUN only. You have to just change to other weapon types. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just figured I was kind of confused as to why some people were thinking that the Wingdiver class was weak. So I guess if you feel that way, like, just let me know in your comments what you think as far as your opinions. But as far as the way I look at it, it seems like it's quite a bit of a buff for this class, and I really enjoy playing the Wingdiver class again. So that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to share with you as far as my overall thoughts at Wingdiver. I would say she's probably the I don't know. I would say she's probably the easiest class to play as still, as far as mobility and strength. The only thing negative about her over the Fencer is the Fencer doesn't have to worry about energy. But if you look at the other classes, for example, the Ranger, I mean, his best sniper rifle does, I'm talking about the non-DLC snipers, does 4,000 damage per second. And that's compared to the Wingdiver's, 18,000 damage monster that she can shoot, I think, was it 5 times or something without recharging. And then as far as his rockets go, his best rocket, as far as damage-wise, the Goliath, it takes 5 seconds to reload it, whereas she can shoot 2 or 3 of those 7,700 damage grenades, level 15, in the time he has to reload. And then, of course, this is the fast-shooting one, only does a little bit over 2,000 damage per second. So, once again, I think that she has stronger snipers and rockets than he does. And as far as close range, I think she definitely has better close range, except the shotgun. He does have good shotguns this time. And then the Fencer class as well. His best rockets aren't even close to hers either. As far as his best is 5,400 damage, but you only can shoot that once every 3 seconds. So, and also there's a higher learning curve to using his heavy weapons, like his snipers as well. His sniper is similar to hers as far as damage, just does 15,000 damage, but it's definitely a lot less, it reduces your mobility, and it's more challenging to use unless you're dash hopping in the air, switching weapons mid-air, shooting, and then dash hopping, then changing back, and then dash hopping away, which, like I said, is more of a high skill learning curve. But I don't know. I think she's stronger than Fencer as far as her weapons go, but I do like his mobility better. Of course, I'm not talking about air raids, because air raids, I think I would consider it a different classification. I don't know if I would compare those with the other classes, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Wingdiver class. I think she's very good now, and those weapons that I mentioned are definitely, I like how there's multiple options in each category. It's not just, oh, Master Rapier Thrust and IDUN, no other questions, There's actually more options this time around, so pretty exciting. So once again, let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks a lot for watching, and remember, EDF doesn't leave a man behind, ever. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing, as that does make a difference. Thanks.